77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
There were fireworks today on Capitol Hill at this Senate hearing where a current active CIA employee, a whistleblower, was testifying about the origins of COVID and what the CIA knew and what they put out to the public. The CIA then quickly put out a statement saying it's dishonest political theater. They didn't want this guy to testify. Wow. I've never seen anything like it. Well, joining us now is former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer. Ari, what do you glean from this? This was like deep state on steroids.
It's awful. I mean, I just don't understand John Radcliffe, the head of the CIA, and the CIA spokesman criticizing this CIA officer for coming forward in response to a subpoena. CIA's attitude is hush it up, cover it up, which is exactly what happened throughout the federal government during COVID when reasonable voices said this likely came from a Chinese lab. And you got banned on social media if you said that. I don't understand what the CIA is thinking here.
You know what's interesting, Ari? Because in this case, just so people understand, this guy's a current employee. And much of what at least I heard in the hearing today, a lot of it goes back to the Biden time, obviously, and what the CIA did. And one of the things, I'm going to give a direct quote from this guy's name's James Erdman. And he said that they first determined that essentially it came from the lab. And then the CIA got muddled in it. And then the statement was the lab leak conclusion, we may never precisely know the origins of COVID, using that word precisely, like kind of conditioning it, poo-pooing it. So again, it kind of goes back to the Biden era. Why was this current CIA not saying, hey, let's put it all out there?
Yeah, I thought that was a very reflective and informative part of the testimony today. And it shows how bureaucracies can work. He shined a light on it. When they say we not know precisely, the word precisely, as he said, is not the language that is used by intelligence analysts. Analysts will say things, we know things with a low confidence. We believe things with a high confidence. There is no precision. If it was a matter of precision, it wouldn't be a matter for intelligence. It would be a matter for public and everybody's observation. Intelligence is used when things are by definition murky, when you need spies, when you need the instruments of the state to observe and to see things that are hidden. You don't know anything precisely when it comes to intelligence, but you have high confidence, low confidence, or medium confidence. That's the point he was making. It was a political operative who inserted the word precisely to muddle the whole issue. And the reason this is so important is the world deserves to know how did COVID start. And the apologists who said it came from a wet lab in China are covering up to protect the Chinese government, where the Chinese government refused to allow that lab to be investigated, to be inspected. They denied that it came from the lab. Well, the evidence we have said it did come from the lab. China is at fault, and people are still protecting China, which is amazing to me.
That is amazing.
Now, what's important here, too, is, look, the American people deserve the truth. Whether it's UFOs, whether it's whatever. I mean, we deserve the truth. I think the American people are good enough and brave enough to absorb almost anything. And I don't know what the CIA rules are. And he's a current employee, and I guess he got a congressional subpoena. Is that what happened?
Yeah, he was subpoenaed, and I'm sure what this is, and this is typical of the bureaucracy, is they don't want their line employees to get called up before Congress. They have political overseers who are supposed to be called up before Congress, and if any employee goes around that system, they don't like it because it threatens the bureaucratic procedures.
So in other words,
did
Congress go to him, or he went to Congress?
Well, he was subpoenaed. I don't know where was the chicken and where was the egg.
Well, it could be what they call friendly subpoena.
And then got subpoenaed. I don't know.
It's Richard Weinberg. It could be a friendly subpoena to cover him, which happens often.
But regardless, why is the current CIA, to Ari's point, they're worried about bureaucracy? We just want the truth, Ari.
Ari, this is Rudy Washington. We were talking about this, and I'm of the opinion that as Director Ratcliffe, this may not have cleared his desk, that this could be within his organization, deep states type of stuff.
And by the way, Rudy, if that happens, that employee should be fired. If somebody put out a statement, you saw this, Ari, saying.
That's what I said.
Right. They should be let go. I mean, if they're operating without the director's control, that's a whole other matter, right?
Yeah, I didn't rule that out this morning when I saw the testimony in my first statement, which is what I said to Fox News, was that perhaps John Ratcliffe didn't know that his underlings put out a statement saying that this person should not have testified. However, that was what? It's 6 o'clock, 5:30. It was 9 hours ago.
Yeah, it doesn't take, and it was headlines everywhere, Ari, so you're right. I mean, he had plenty of time to respond.
I don't know, damage control, one could debate how you handle that.
It goes back to if he got a subpoena, are his bosses saying you're forbidden from doing that? And do the bosses have the ability to say that to him? I don't know.
Yeah, but even the bosses in bureaucracy have the ability to do whatever they want, especially at the CIA. But my point is much bigger than this. Bureaucracies will bureaucratize. It is imperative for America to learn how COVID started. And this is where the knee-jerk reflexes of the bureaucrats need to be overruled by the political people who are at the top of the CIA, John Ratcliffe. There's really only one political person at the CIA, and it is the director. He needed to step in and say the truth needs to be told. The American people deserve to hear it, and the CIA will help get it out.
I agree. And you know what's troubling, Ari? I mean, look, let's just put it out there. I don't care Republican, Democrat, but they've talked about transparency.
We're Americans.
Yeah.
Just,
put it out there. Why? Well, I don't understand why there's still that issue.
If it involves, I can understand something. If it involves national security and the CIA bosses say, stop, it involves national security and,
But
that I can understand but this is 5-year-old
right.
This is 5-year-old crap, and I'm going to tell you what I said 5 years ago. I said that it was intuitive, like my physics professor used to say. It's intuitively obvious that China stopped shipping those airplanes within China, but they kept coming to the United States and to Italy. So what is that thing? It smells.
So, Kat, you're saying
something was bad.
It wasn't some guy who ate some bat meat?
Right, exactly. Market? No. Yeah, and there just happened to be a lab down the street.
You know how they say something's rotten in Denmark? Well, something's rotten in Washington and something's rotten in Beijing.
Yeah, final thoughts, my friend Ari?
Yeah, it was a disheartening episode. And it was also disheartening that none of the Democrats showed up at the hearing. Look, the world was done wrong by COVID. We all suffered. We all changed our lives, and we were all lied to. And I hate to see President Trump, John Ratcliffe, a good man, John Ratcliffe, the current CIA, go along with anything that would not get to the bottom of the truth.
Yeah, 100%.
CIA.
I agree, Ari. That's why this was confusing.
That's why I said it the way it is. If it was national security and I was CIA director, I would make sure he doesn't testify. Even if I have to shoot him.
We have that on record now, Ari.
On the record.
The lawyer said metaphorically, Kat.
Metaphorically. Ari.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, Ari, we love you. Thank you very much. Ari, you got to come back on again soon. You're terrific, my friend.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.